In this tutorial, we will be going through many of the commonly used tools in the image collection screen and the image viewing screen. First, let's look at some of our image enhancement tools. To be able to use our image enhancement tools, we will need to select a particular image to use. From there, we're able to click our image enhancements, or you could double-click the image. Starting from the top left, we have several very self-explanatory buttons. We have our print button. In our options button, we do have our copy to clipboard and our save as functions. Flip and rotate are also very self-explanatory. Under our enhancement selection, there are a number of enhancements including invert, sharpen, smooth, edge enhancements. All of these do affect the image differently. The thing to remember is none of these enhancements will change the original image. They will be considered derived versions of that image. So your original image will always stay intact and in the database, so you cannot damage that original image. Under our advanced enhancements, there's several more enhancements that you have the ability to use. With many of these, they will have a preview window, so that any adjustments you make, you'll have a preview of that adjustment prior to saving it. If you're happy with it, you click OK. Otherwise, you can click Cancel and come back to your original image. Under our label selection, most of these are used for patient education: arrows, ellipses, rectangles, text. We do have several that are clinically used, including the measurement tool and under your advanced labels. Your undo redo button does give you exactly that: undo, redo, and revert back to your original image. The real-time filter is very commonly used in most of our practices. You simply choose the filter that you'd like to use, and it'll apply it to your image. This is a toggle on and off action, so it will stay on for every image that we look at, including if we leave this patient, move to the next, close the software, and come back into it at a later time. This filter will remain on. To remove it, you simply click back to it and uncheck that filter. One of our more common tools used is this pull-out window over here. This gives us many of the more common tools used on a regular basis. We have a zoom function that gives you the ability to use the wheel mouse to scroll in and out of the image. If you use the left mouse button, it's going to zoom in. If you use the right mouse button, it's going to zoom out. If you press in on the wheel mouse, it's going to zoom to fit the image on the screen. The minus, plus do exactly that with zoom. The square actually magnifies the image to fit the screen as well. The next button is a display to full screen. So it removes our window bar at the bottom and gives us the ability to have this image the only thing appearing on the screen. From there, we can continue to use our tools as seen below. The next tool is this black and white square. This allows me to change the brightness and contrast with just my mouse. This allows me to change my brightness and contrast with just my mouse. If I hold the left mouse button down, if I move up, it's going to brighten the image up. Down will darken the image. If I go to the right, it'll make the image more contrast. Left, less contrast. If at any point I want to revert back, I can just left click the mouse button and it'll get me back to my original image. I can also move diagonally, which will adjust both brightness and contrast simultaneously. The downside to adjusting the brightness and contrast, it does affect all shades of gray. So your darker areas will eventually start to burn out and your brighter areas will start to bleed through. So a more popular tool for a brightness and contrast is going to be this gamma adjustment. So the gamma adjustment allows us to make changes dynamically. What it gives us the ability to do is keep the high and low values of brightness and darkness stationary while moving everything in between. So if I use that left mouse button again and move to the right, you'll see that it brightens the image up. And if I move to the left, it's going to darken the image. This is going to give me a better fine tune without getting washed out information in the darker areas and the brighter areas of the image. And again, left clicking will bring us back to our original image. The last couple of tools I'd like to show you are this magnifying glass here, which is exactly that. It adds a magnifying glass on the image. If you right click, it'll keep it stationary. The magnifying glass with the starburst in it is an enhancement tool within a magnifying glass. So this is going to enhance the brightness and contrast within that circle. And again, if you right click, it'll keep it stationary. Left click will allow you to hold and drag it around. To exit out of the full screen view, we simply click the X button here and we return back to our normal viewing. Once I'm done with my enhancements, I simply click Go Back. This notification lets me know that I've made some adjustments to one or multiple images, and it's asking me if I'd like to save those changes. Again, please remember that this will not change your original image. It'll simply save the adjustments that you've made as a derived image. You'll always be able to revert back to your original image at any time. The last thing I'd like to show you is the ability to compare images. So our Compare Images button is right here on the left-hand side. We have the ability to compare a number of different things. The first thing I'm going to choose is the Compare Selected Images, which is currently grayed out. To be able to do that, you'd simply have to choose 2 images that you'd like to compare. Again, we select images by clicking on a particular image, which brings a yellow box around it, and then we'll select the second image that we want to compare to. From there, we go to Compare Images, Compare Selected Images. This function allows me to compare multiple images at the same time. I'm also able to use a number of my enhancements on these images. Simply click the pull-out window that we've used before, and what we're able to do is use all those same enhancements. Now what I'm also able to do is do a link views. To toggle it on, I simply click it so it turns green, and then from there, if I use those enhancements, you'll see they're done to both images. Again, when I'm done, I just simply click Done, and I'm back to my window here. A couple of the other comparisons I'd like to show you. One is Compare History. This allows me to choose from a tooth chart which teeth I'd like to view. So I can simply select 2 particular teeth, and it's going to bring up every image that I have associated with those teeth. Again, I can use the link views and do the enhancements that I was able to do in the other comparison screen. Once I'm done, again, click Done. The last comparison I'd like to show you is Compare Bitewing series. This one actually pulls up all the historical Bitewings in that patient record. And again, with any of these compares, not only do you have your pull-out window on the right-hand side here, but you also have your real-time filter selection down at the bottom. And that will apply to all images that we see. Again, once you're done, you click Done. And those are our most commonly used tools in our image collection screen and image viewing screens.